This is Real Generational Wealth. Live from Southern California, this is Abby, Espy, and Jen.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Real Generational Wealth, where we have over 50 years of combined experience making sure you and your family always have a place to call home. If you are catching us live today, please remember to hashtag live in the comments below. If you're catching us on the replay, hashtag replay. We have an exciting episode for you today. We want to talk to you guys all about the market, what's going on, how's it heating up. I know it's not even summer yet. But before we even get to that, there are a few things we want to kind of go over and touch base with you guys. So how are you ladies? Abby, Espy, everything? How's your day? How's it all going?
Very good.
Good, busy.
Good to see you guys again.
Busy's good. Espy, I know earlier you mentioned to us that today is Fair Housing Day.
Fair Housing Day, and the first time that I think this year we have California Association of Realtors, CAR, sponsored this event. It's called Fair Housing Day, and it's happening here in Hollywood, California. So a lot of people, it was sold out actually.
What did you guys discuss, or what kind of topics did they cover?
Discrimination, diversity, appraisal, how the appraisal can be discriminating too. All over across United States, and they found out about that. So
how can an appraisal be discriminating?
Well, there are some cases that's been happening where appraisal for homes that are occupied by family of color is like a lot less than the ones that are from a white family.
Wow.
And they have different cases that's going on right now on that, people who are trying to refinance. So it is robbing it is a way of robbing your equity.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to refinance or you're trying to sell a house, and, just because of the people who lives there are residents of color, usually what happens is that they will have a lower appraisal. Like in Marin County, they have some. In Oakland, they have some. Different communities. So now they are really looking into that. They are addressing that situation. Even Section 8, how we're dealing with Section 8. How landlords are discriminating Section 8 and how to avoid that. So they are earmarking a lot of educational events that will help first-time home buyers and also sellers on how to deal with that. So they're educating the public and also the agents on how to deal with discrimination and fair housing rules. Yeah, interesting.
That is interesting.
Go ahead, Abby.
No, I haven't run into that so much in the Inland Empire, but then I did sometimes when our offer wasn't accepted, I did wonder, is it because of the last name? It's a more Spanish sounding last name. Is that why they went with the other offer that has a more Caucasian sounding last name? I always wondered about that, but it's really hard to prove that there's discrimination based on racial inequality rather than their financial background or financial strength.
Well, I'm sure you guys remember when they first introduced the fair housing disclosure to the contract, right? That was like end of 21 or beginning of last year. Like the market was nuts. We were running into multiple offers, and buyers started to write this love letter, right? Love letter to the seller. Dear Mr. Seller, my name is, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. We are newlyweds. We are nurses. We're whatever we do, and they explain themselves and their history and what they do. And sometimes they'll even put a picture. And I know that specific disclosure that was added to the contract was supposed to discourage that, right? Because a seller could basically say, oh, well, I just said nurses because, nurses are most likely Filipino, but
Filipinos
like
are
the
well
seller
known
could
for
be
that,
like, oh,
yeah.
well, they're Filipino. I want to pick them, or I don't want to pick them, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
it sucks because,
Mhm.
I mean, buyers are trying to figure out how you can stand out in such a crazy market, but also try to still avoid being discriminated against.
Mhm. That's right. Yeah. So now they are actually sending out people there that are pretending to be couples, a white couple or a colored couple or things like that, and then they will test on how you're going to deal with them or treat them, whether they are renters or buyers or even sellers. You know,
Wow.
so yeah, so we have to really, really be careful and also be diligent on what we do out there and how we represent our clients. Yeah. Mhm. Sometimes I was thinking about it and said, oh, maybe that's the reason why now we have all this staging. Because when you do staging, usually they call it whitewash, but actually you remove everything that is personal in
Yeah.
the property. But basically, the explanation there is more of making the property like neutral.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That way it
As neutral
appeals
as
to
possible.
anybody. It appeals to them rather than them busy looking at who lives there and how do they live.
Yeah. I
you know?
mean, you're walking through a house and there's pictures on the wall. Of course, you can't help but look, right? Like, oh,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah.
cute
You're curious.
family. And yeah,
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
but
true.
it always does help to make it as neutral as possible just because most buyers can't look past people's personal property.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
But I have a question for you guys. So, have you ever been discriminated against?
In regards to real estate, I mean, I don't.
In general,
As representing a client,
or as a Filipino,
yeah, you're right.
American?
I'm sure there were some cases or situations that I was discriminated, or maybe my client was discriminated, but I didn't really make it a big deal for some reason,
Yeah.
not unless it was really put in front of my face or my client, then it
Right.
would be because I am the type of person who's really very protective
Mm-hmm.
with my client and my clients how they treat my client when I go to their home or make an offer.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, same thing. Like, I can't think of a time that was so prominent that was like, oh my gosh, it was a totally racist thing or whatever kind of discrimination. But I can probably recall a couple times that I know the owners were one nationality, one ethnicity, and then they ended up picking another buyer of the same ethnicity that we were different, my buyers were different from. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I can't say for sure whether that was true discrimination or not, but I'm sure it's happening, but
Mhm.
Like, so when I had that listing, that $3.5 million listing, my last name is Ronquillo. So one of the buyer's agents thought that I was Hispanic, and she was like, "Oh, it's nice that a Latina got a listing for this much," and I was like, "I'm not, I'm not Latina." I get that a lot. Like,
Yeah.
when they see
Oh.
my name, they're like, "Oh, you look so Asian, but how come your name is like that?" Like, it's
Mhm.
Filipino. It's we have Spanish last names.
Yeah.
But I did get discriminated against before. When we lived in Ladera Ranch, it was predominantly white. So we lived in a $1 million home, $1 million plus home. And when I opened the door, like, they thought I was a nanny,
Oh,
taking care
really?
of my kids. And I was just like, I was heartbroken because we liked the house and everything, but we just felt that, that underlying tension. It wasn't blatant, but it was kind of like, oh, how did you guys get here? Or
Yeah.
like,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So that's why I was asking. I was just wondering if you guys ever experienced that being
Mm.
Filipino.
Me, not personally. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I
Mhm.
guess now that you mentioned that kind of story, I do remember I had Hispanic clients, and we were looking in a primarily white neighborhood, white,
Mhm.
like older, Simi Valley, like older white
Yeah.
retired people. I mean, like
Yeah.
the homes just fit their budget. It fit kind of the criteria. And I remember when we would look at some homes and neighbors would kind of like look at us, like it just it was weird, right? Like, I mean, we're at not that
Mhm.
you got a Hispanic family living in a primarily white neighborhood. So I guess that's probably the closest where it felt weird, but
Mhm.
nothing directly to where.
Simi Valley, and I don't know what's up with the neighbors. I just sold one there I think a couple months ago, and the neighbors come out and
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
I did you know what happened with your, the owner of this house?" So it's nice. It's nice because
They
that's how you
talk
find
about
out stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's common. There are some neighborhoods that would be more close knit, that they know each other's
Yeah.
business.
Hmm.
Yeah, and there's some people who don't even know that they've come out what's going on, in their
Right.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm. So now talking
But
about the market, I know you said that
yes.
it's quite busy right now and all that. And me lately, I've been dealing with investors. So a lot of investors are out there and looking for, multi units.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
I guess the rental is really very strong right now. You
Long-term
know.
rentals, I would say, long-term rentals seem to be
Hmm.
performing better than short-term rentals because they're
Yeah.
kind of doing away with short-term rental permits in certain
Yeah.
places.
Yeah. Yeah. They're
Most
starting
cities
to
in
tighten
general
up.
are
Yeah.
not doing that anymore.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, one thing to note for rentals, for anybody who's watching that is possibly thinking of, investing in rental properties, the moratorium finally lifted here in LA. Like that eviction moratorium finally got lifted. I have so many clients who had tenants not paying since 2020. That's 3 years of no payment, and they
Wow.
couldn't evict these tenants, right, just because of that
Yeah.
moratorium. And so now that they're so behind on their mortgage, they're ready to just be done with their properties. So now they're finally starting these eviction processes. Granted, it's so backed up. I think the court systems are backed up like months, but
Mhm.
at least some of these sellers are starting to come around, and they're saying, okay, well, now that I can get these tenants out, let's actually finally start talking about selling these houses. So
Yeah,
Mhm.
all the homes that I've been looking at in the Inland Empire, they have tenants with them, or it's tenant occupied. Like so many of them are like, submit an offer subject to interior inspection. There's
Mhm.
tenants on the properties, so I'm seeing that's why that's a good point that the moratorium has been lifted because yeah, there's a lot of homes right now that are tenant occupied that are
Yeah.
also on the market. But I would
yeah,
never recommend to purchase a home that still has tenants in
Tenants on
there.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
even with multi-units, sometimes they would say, we're selling it with the tenants on it, and then buyer has to be the one to deal with the
to
tenants.
evict them,
So
Yeah.
yeah, that can be very
it's a
touchy.
headache. It's a total
Mhm.
headache.
Unless it's a
Mhm.
good deal.
Yeah.
If they're
It
giving
can be
like
a
a
good
big
deal.
discount, like 50 grand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what they did with the house or with
I
the
mean, it's
business.
always there's always a number to it, right? But it
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's got to pan out.
Yeah.
But that being said, right? So we're seeing a lot of pickup in today's market. Now I think last month we talked about just kind of the buying process, and I know I mentioned a little bit of multiple offers here. And Abby, I think last time you said the Inland Empire wasn't running into too many multiple offers just yet, but that was just
Not in the Inland Empire, but once this down payment assistance program was unleashed, we had one
A
property
surge.
that was 10 offers, and then the
Mhm.
next one had four. I mean, we were still able to get my buyer's offer accepted, but just every house had multiple offers on it, which was
yeah,
surprising because they were sitting on the market for a while until the Dream for All program came out. Then with the 20% down payment assistance from California, it kind of inflated the market a little bit, but now
Mhm.
it's back to how it was before,
Well, yeah,
before
because
that program.
that program is gone. You
Yeah, it
know,
lasted for a whole 10 days, I think.
it just lasted for few weeks.
It was a
not even a
That's
few
a
weeks.
really
Not
good
even
deal.
the
Yeah.
20% down. Yeah, a
I
lot
would
of
have
people trying to avail of it.
Yeah, I would have probably done that program and then just saved my down payment and put my down payment in stock, like in
Uh-huh.
in Apple or something that can make me more money, and then
Mm.
just use that. Yeah,
For those of you watching, in case you were wondering, I mean, we don't want to go into too much details about it because, like SB
it's
said, it's done.
gone.
California released this program, a Dream for All program, where they were granting you up to 20% for your down payment and closing costs. Or technically, I think there was a limit of 200,000, but yeah, it was up to that. And then they said that it was supposed to last until mid-April. The thing is, the state of California would take 20% of your equity or ownership, I guess, if that makes sense. So any equity that you would make in the house, the state would
share
take
it. You
20%
share
of
it.
that. Now think about that though, right? The state is willing to take, to put money into ownership of these properties. That just shows real estate is the right investment, right? The state is willing to invest in homes so that they can make
Be
money.
a partner.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
they have
as
that
a
much faith.
buyer, that just shows real estate is the best investment right now, right? Especially with all this talk about the values, the dollar is devaluing, and I mean, I'm not trying to get into any of that, but real estate is always the safe bet. So that's just something to keep in mind for you guys out there.
Well, the good thing about real estate is that you can live on it, you can deduct it, you can expense it, and you can enjoy it. And over time, then you get equity.
Right.
And that's how you can retire in style. Leveraging on it. Yeah.
Yes. So if some of you are wondering why the down payment assistance program went so quickly, so California had 300 million in funds set aside for the Dream for All program, and the funds were used up within 10 days. So I think some buyers that were already in this escrow flipped their loan to include the down payment assistance program. So I have a lot of buyers that were trying to qualify for it, and even before qualifying, it was already gone. So I guess it's just to show you that it's good to be prepared in case there's another program like this that's released next year. So just have yourself prepared. Just fix your credit, try to pay down things in case there's another program like this that comes out.
Because they do have restrictions, like FICO score has to be a certain score.
Minimum.
680.
Minimum.
Yeah.
I think it was 680. They wanted 680 minimum. Yeah.
I mean, but even I think that you're right, Abby, is that is the biggest takeaway, right? Is you as a buyer, you want to be ready, right? You got to be ready to jump. I know there's so many of you guys watching thinking like, okay, I don't know if now's the right time. Interest rates are crazy. I mean, you just heard that the state, they invested $300 million into buyers and into homes and real estate, and so, and it ran out that fast in 10 days. So
I'm sure there's going to be another program. I was asking it today at the event with CAR and said, well, we don't really know if there's going to be another program, but there's still the 3%, so you can still do the 3% and the regular CalHFA, or the FHA. So there's still some programs there also for the city, because remember there are first-time homebuyer programs for the city, the level of the county, and also federal funding. So there's different ways of getting into a home.
That's true. Yeah, there's some low to moderate income down payment assistance programs, and some of them you don't have to be a first-time home buyer, but most of them you do. So like CHDAP, and I don't know if they still have CHDAP, and CalHFA's My Home. So there are grant programs out there, but you just have to be prepared because there's FICO score requirements. You have to have your FICO score preferably higher than 660. Yeah, because the higher your FICO score, the lower your interest rate will be, and you'll have better terms. You might have closing costs covered if your FICO score is high enough.
And remember, we have lease options now. We have seller financing, seller carryback, things like that. And your agent that's going to represent you would be able to determine how they can negotiate if that is something that you need or you can use, as a tool. Yeah.
But that's the thing, right? You want to work with an agent who knows what's going on in the neighborhoods, in the areas that you're looking at. I mean, everything is shifting and it's shifting fast. So the market, I feel, is heating up a little faster this year, or a little earlier than normal. I know a lot of you buyers are kind of hesitant. You're thinking, oh, well, interest rates are crazy. And they are. I get it. They are crazier than they were literally just
They
2 years ago.
are, but so there's ways around it.
Yeah, there is. There's definitely ways. But still, I think a lot of buyers have just realized interest rates are going to be what they're going to be. I still need a house. I still need a place to go. My landlord's crazy. I need to leave. Whatever the case is, I need to get out. I need to buy a house now. So I feel like competition. Oh, where did SB go? Oh,
Sorry.
I feel like competition is definitely picking up. I think it's very important that buyers basically equip themselves with the right agent to help you be as competitive as possible. I think about a week ago I was talking to somebody and I was like, well, man, I feel like we're going right into 2021 all over again. And they're like, yeah, I don't think it's going to be as crazy, but it's going to heat up. But just from my own personal experience, so we just listed a property in Porter Ranch last week for $640. Comps, I mean, it was outdated, but clean, right? And so we priced it right at market. I actually think that it was probably more 620, but seller wanted to list at about 640. So we listed there. We got 22 offers. You guys, 22 offers. Only one offered below asking, 2 offered at asking, and everyone else was above asking.
So is there low inventory in that area? Could that be the reason?
In LA County, I mean, in the Valley in general, there is low inventory. So that's what's definitely causing this craziness, right? And I mean, I think we accepted one today. Yeah, we basically are at about 720 now. And that's the offer that we accepted. But a lot of buyers are coming ready, fully pre-approved. They have their funds ready, like full DU approval. So buyers who are watching, talk to your lenders and make sure they have your documents already. Before you even start looking at homes, you want to be just fully ready to pull the trigger for when you find the right property.
So in the Inland Empire, we are getting multiple offers too. And I was able to get my buyer's offer accepted with closing costs being covered. Nice. So even if there's a multiple offer situation, you can still get closing costs covered. So you can have 3-2-1 buy down. So that 3-2-1 buy down was really important to them because it would take the payment from $4,000 a month to like $3,300 a month.
Nice.
For the first year. So things like that. So if you're thinking, oh, interest rates are high, probably by the time the buy down is complete or is done, then they're going to refinance and try to get a lower rate. So hopefully the rates are lower in 3 years, but it's a little bit of a gamble. So.
Yeah, well, and then the thing is that there's a lot of foreign investors that are coming in.
Yeah, I'm actually seeing that too. Yeah.
Yeah, because of all the chaos going on with the banks, so there is a shifting in the global market, and there's a lot of foreign investors that are coming in here. And United States actually here is one unique country where investors can easily purchase property here.
Yeah, as long as they got cash.
Yeah. And no, not necessarily. I was just talking to some lenders that would allow loans for foreign investors. And in fact, I'm going to have a talk again on Thursday with regards to immigration, getting visas by buying property here. Nice. And there's more and more people who are availing of that because they can even send their students here, their kids, if they acquire their visas by expanding their business here or buying a business here, let's say buying a 7-Eleven or AM/PM, or putting a branch of their business here, they can actually send their executives and even themselves and get a visa for the whole family. Think about that, where your kids can go instead of as a foreign student, they would be a regular student and avail of, the benefits of being a regular student here rather than a foreign student taking master's or PhD, So there's more and more people who are getting into that. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely ways to buy, right? You can get creative. There's definitely different options out there. So that's why you want to work with an agent that will definitely fight for you, that will educate you and help you through the process from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And remember, it's not only one person who's going to put deals together for you. Usually we have a team of professionals that are working with us constantly, like an estate planner, a lawyer, I have an immigration lawyer that works with me.
CPA. I have a
Yeah.
CPA here in the office.
Yeah, yeah. So an agent who knows how to handle your need and has some channels there, if you are well networked, then some people who can help them on certain keys, like capital gains, how they're gonna deal with 1031 exchange, or how you're gonna deal with trust, things like that with the family. Yeah, how to transition them properly so that they can save a lot of money, especially right now with the capital gains issues.
Yeah.
I know Jen is dealing with all these 5 million and over uh, owners. I think they're just sitting in the background right now and just
Most
waiting.
sellers facing that mansion tax, they're like, you know what? I'm just gonna wait. There's no rush. And
Yeah.
I think in general, that's what we're seeing with sellers, right? That's what's causing the
Mhm.
shortage of inventory is
Yeah.
you've got sellers who bought in the last few years, or even who bought way earlier, but refinanced in the last few years, and they're sitting on a 3% interest rate right now.
Yeah.
So a lot of them are just like, why do I need to sell?
Yeah, there's no way.
Mhm.
I don't know. For me, there's no way I would sell right now. Like even if I mean, just for us because our interest rate is like
It's so low.
2.9. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so low. That's why I think for buyers, you kind of have an advantage right now. You can get your closing costs paid and just come in with a down payment, and you'll be a homeowner.
But I think that's because of that low inventory, it's causing that crazy demand again,
Yeah.
that we were
Yeah.
running into.
We still don't have inventory. So
Yeah.
the people that are saying it's going to crash, the inventory or the shortage of homes is preventing the market from
Right.
crashing.
Simple supply and demand. I mean, I like the story I just told you guys a couple minutes ago. We listed at 640, we're at 705. Like people, we didn't even have to counter out the appraisal contingencies. People are starting to do that again, and
Mhm.
I'm trying to not manifest that crazy market again because it was crazy, right? You guys know 21
Yeah.
was nuts. And
I don't like those. Like it's like as is.
Some
No
people are
appraisal
very
contingency. It's
frustrated.
so
Yeah.
stressful.
but I
Mhm.
think it's important for our potential sellers who are watching, because I think I know that there's always going to be people who need to sell, right? Whether
Yeah.
it's
And the
job,
good thing about it is that now the sellers that are out there really need to sell.
yes,
The
right?
motivation.
Yes, yeah,
Ones
they're
who need to
motivated.
sell,
Like they're
Yeah.
moving out of state. That's what I've been seeing a lot. Sellers moving
Yeah.
out of state, they really need to sell because they're relocating.
yeah.
Mhm.
So
I mean, a couple months ago, I helped sellers who were facing foreclosure. Like I know that's a very sensitive topic, and I know a lot of people don't want to talk about that. But if you're
Mhm.
sitting on $400,000 of equity, please sell your house. Do not let the bank take your house. Like you
Yeah.
should take out your equity, contact SB to go retire in the Philippines. You can get a nice condo, and live so
Not
good.
only in the Philippines, there's a lot of people moving to even in Portugal. Portugal and Italy
oh,
is
I
quite
heard that.
popular.
Yeah, Portugal. It looks
Even
pretty
in
over
South
there.
America,
Yeah.
a lot of people are going there. You know.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, anything in regards to real estate, you always want to get in touch with your realtor or get in touch with
Yeah.
Abby or SB or myself and figure out what is the best route for you, whether that's
The
buying
most
or selling.
important thing is that you do something about it. Learn, educate yourself, and really good professional realtors. They are there to educate you. They're not there to just get you and put you in the car and sell you something. If you find somebody like that, you want to stay away from that. The most important thing is you get educated, you get the information, and then once you feel comfortable, because there's chemistry involved, there's the trust involved.
Yeah.
So once you get that, then that's the time that you buy a property, because it's the biggest investment that you're gonna be doing, initially. The
Yeah.
first part of your years, 25 to 30 years, I have a 25-year-old right now who wants to buy like a 10 million investment.
Nice.
So there are a lot of crazy people out there, and they do have money.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the market is heating up. Abby mentioned it 2 seconds ago. I know you guys, there's people out there saying the market's going to crash. Those people have been saying that for the last 10 years.
It's just a way to justify being a renter.
Yeah.
Some of them want to stay renting, so they're like, okay, I want to make myself feel better, so I'll just say market's gonna crash.
But those same people who said that a couple years ago are like, holy crap, the house,
They're missing
the
out.
prices
Yeah.
have gone up, and you could have already gained so much equity, right? Your investment could have already become so much more. So
True. That's so true.
So if you're ready and willing, make your move. Like SB said, do something about it.
Yeah. So again, you can always contact us, reach us here in even in Facebook. I know I do have a lot of friends and family who are out there. You can always ask questions. We're here to give you advice.
Especially like even if you're not ready or your credit is a little questionable, we can still help you. Like I have a lot of clients I've been helping since COVID, since COVID first started, and now they're ready to become homeowners. So it's not always right away that you're ready to purchase a home. Like we can get you there.
I think that's probably the most important time, right? To start talking to a realtor is before you're technically even ready, because then we will help you guys. We'll point you guys in the right direction, right? We'll tell you, hey, you should save this much. Hey, you should pay this down. And that way when you are ready, like you're ready. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna miss you, but I'm always online digitally where we see each other.
Where are you going?
Tomorrow I'm leaving for the Philippines.
Again?
Yeah, it's interesting because I have some sellers from Australia who wants me to sell some properties in the Philippines for them.
nice.
Yeah, because even there it's very hard to get down payment for their kids.
Wow.
So yeah.
Well, there you go, guys. Contact SB. She'll be out there if you guys want to invest.
All
But
right.
until then, we will see you guys next month. Have a beautiful evening. We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah. Enjoy the sun. Sunny and bright. Enjoy